So we're going to make our first Node and Express app today and understand the basics of how to create a server, how to launch the server, how to browse to it, how to send and receive messages from it in a kind of the simplest possible case. So I'm going to open a folder in the place where I put stuff for this class, and I'm going to call it the Express insult app. I don't know. It's basically going to respond with your mom to a lot of our things, is my idea. But you can make yours say whatever you want to. Okay. I'm here. Are you here? I have now opened a folder. There's nothing in it. Nothing at all. Now we're going to create this Express project. And you know that all Node projects depend on a file to define the project structure. What's the name of that file? Nope. This is the essential table of contents file for a Node project or even a web project. It ends in JSON, package.json. So we could manually create it and write it, but why? It would be easier if instead we said node space init. And the node space init will take us through a few steps to do this for us. Only it's not node init, it's npm init. We'll clean this up in post. npm init. Sorry about that. Okay. So it says, you see at the bottom, it's saying, what do you want your package name to be? And by default, it assumes the package name is the folder that you're in, which I'm fine for this package to be called the Express Insult app. If you want to take the default, you press enter. If you want to name it something else, you can type in whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to go ahead and take that. It suggests version 1.0.0. I'm good with that. So I'm going to say enter. Description. I'm going to say super basic Express app that insults the user. Or you can leave this blank. The only people that would read this are people reading this package.json, unless you put it on NPM, the registry worldwide, which I'm certainly not going to do for this silly app. It asks for an entry point. So this is the name of the JavaScript file where it's going to start running. So where's the starting point for this app? They recommend index.js. I kind of like app.js. It doesn't really matter. I've also seen main.js. Any of those would be fun, but I'm going to do app.js. We don't have a test command. We're not running automated tests, so I'm just going to press enter. I don't have this online, so I don't have a Git repo. I don't have the URL of a Git repo, so I'm going to press enter. I don't really care to put keywords in. I will go ahead and put in my name as the author of this, though. So all this is going to do is write a package.json for me. I think I'm at the end here. I can choose what license I want. At this moment, this isn't going to be real code that I'm going to license, so I'm going to press enter. It asks for type. There's actually two ways of doing import-export. In the React world, you do it with that import and that export default we've been doing. In the Node world, there's a different format that's called CommonJS, where you say require and put the name of the package. And from what I understand, if you want maximum compatibility when you're writing Node, like backend code, it has traditionally been CommonJS. So even though now apparently it supports the module way, this is the safer bet if you want to be able to operate with everybody else. So I'm going to say enter to accept CommonJS. It then shows me this is the package.json that it's about to write for me based on the little wizard that we walked through. I'm going to say enter because yes, I want to do that. And then you see that package.json appears here. Sure. On the whole, I would just say yes, and then change the thing you want to change. So I was like, actually, this isn't version 1.0. This is version 0.5 because it's so bad. I don't even want to call it 1.0 yet. All it is this little program just helps you write this file without you having to remember the core things. You can see right now we don't even have dependencies yet, which we know dependencies are something we're going to want. For this app, we know that we want Express, so I'm going to say npm I Express. So this is how we would install Express. npm I Express. You okay with that? So this will, of course, install Express and all of Express's dependencies in the node modules folder. You recall from last time, how big is the node modules folder? You look at it, it looks small. Those are all of the packages that just got installed in order for Express to work. It's ridiculous. I wonder if I can, I'm curious to know, I'm sure it's megabytes large, it's gigantic. Okay. Let's go ahead and create our little baby node app, shall we? So I'm going to right click over here and create a new file. Can I just double click? Yes. And we said we're going to call it app.js. So I'm going to be doing this in JavaScript. It might be better to do it in TypeScript if we wanted to opt into all that type safe stuff. But for now, just to keep it super slim, it's kind of quick and dirty, we'll just be in JavaScript. All right. So here are the boilerplate lines that are always at the beginning of an Express app. On the whole, if we weren't learning this, I would definitely copy paste this from a pre-existing code or from ChatGPT. So we're going to say, we're going to create the Express object, const Express is equal to, and we're going to require single quote or double quote Express. So this is the way we bring in an object from a module that we didn't write. Okay? The next line is we're going to create our app that is an Express server. And to do that, I'm going to say const app is equal to, and then I'm going to say Express parentheses. So kind of like invoking the constructor to create one of these Express apps. I'm also going to specify the port number, which could be anything as long as it's above 2K. Do you guys know about port numbers from networks? I like to think about port numbers as the address of an application running on the network. The IP address is really the address of a computer. But one computer could be running many, many applications. So how does your operating system tell if this message goes to this application or this application? Port numbers are what does that. So it's a unique number for an application. Some of the lower port numbers are reserved to be used by specific applications that run the internet. So it's more than convention. There's a standard that web servers run on port 80. They're always listening on port 80. That's HTTP. If you were doing HTTPS, then that's 443. So that's the reserved port number for a server running that protocol. We're kind of creating our own thing here. So we're going to, for now, it is a web server, but we don't want to interfere with a real web server that's running. So in development, we usually have a port number some big number like this. When we deploy it, if we wanted to be running on a real web server, it would have to be listening on 80 and 443. Okay. Trying to distill some of that magic. Okay. Next, I'm going to go ahead and jump to what's always at the bottom, which is starting this server running. But it's not going to do anything. It's just going to be listening. So the way that we ask it to listen is to say app, which is the name of our application, .listen. I don't know, that teal is really hard to see. Oh, it turns into that when okay. So app.listen, parentheses. And note, hey, if I do this, you can see several of the overrides here. This is the one we're going to use. We're going to pass in the port number, and we're going to write a function that runs once the server's up. So we definitely want to listen on the port that we define above, and we want to write an arrow function here to, in this case, this isn't actually doing the work that we want. We're just going to say the server is now online. So I'm just going to say console.log and then backtick server is running on, and I'm going to go ahead and put in http://localhost colon and then $ curly's port. So by doing it this way, by doing localhost colon port, that is the URL to open up the server that's running on that port on our computer. So localhost is just a shorthand name for the server that is the computer that you're on right now. So at this point, this doesn't do anything, but we should be able to see something. So I'm going to run this by saying node space app.js. So I'm running my app.js in the node program, which runs JavaScript programs locally. You ready? So if this works, then I should see server is running on this address, because that's what I put in here. And if I, in Mac, command click, on Windows, probably control click, I will open up my browser. And notice it says cannot get /. See that? So this is equivalent to if you just type into any browser on your computer, localhost :3000, you are sending an HTTP GET request to this web server. It happens that I have any routes defined, but it is running. If this were not running, let me just show you. I'm going to kill this over here by doing Control-C. And now if I refresh this, I'll get this site can't be reached, because there is no server running on localhost 3000, that URL anymore. Does that make sense? So I'm going to start this up again. I'm just going to press up to go through my history to get to node app.js. Now it's running on localhost 3000. The fact that I can't get this reveals there is a web server there who's now sending back reasonable messages saying, I have no data for what you're asking for, but it sends back an actual 404, as opposed to before it was just like, there's nothing there, bro. Nothing. Okay, so most of the work that we're going to do in this Express app is defining what happens at particular routes. Yeah? And the way that we do that is we say app dot, and then the HTTP method that we want to use. Get is the most common one. So I'm going to say app.get. App.get is going to take 2 parameters. I mean, actually, apparently there are 6 different versions of it. The one that we're going to use is, most commonly, is the route, which is just /. So pretty much you always need a route. So if you go to /, what's it going to return? And then the second parameter, so notice this is all in this app.get function. The second parameter is, of course, a function. So a function is parentheses, arrow, curlies. Yeah? And because we're in Node, or because we're in Express, this function always takes in 2 objects. And by convention, we call them the request and the response, the rec and the res. You could name these whatever you want to. Whatever you name them here in the parameter listing is what you would then use them at down here. You with me? So there's nothing magic about that. Okay, so in the simplest case, I'm going to say res.send, parentheses, to send back on the response some string. And so I'll send back some phrase. So now, if I come over here and refresh this, I would like to see your face. Is that what I'm going to see? No. Let's see. What's happening? This is saved. Works fine on your computer? Okay, we'll have to ship your computer. What I want you to see here is this is running the app.js that's running was the old version. And this program is running based on the old version. In order for me to get the new version, I have to come down here, press Control-C to stop it, and press up and restart it. And then refresh the page. Oh, yeah, so it's splitting, unfortunately. It's just node and then the name of the file that you want to run, which would be your starting point. So node app.js. So every time you make a change in your node file, you've got to stop the running server and restart it. Or you could install this tool that makes it much easier. So node mod. So I think it's worth installing globally. On Windows, you would just do npm install -g nodemon. That's like node monitor. I think on Mac, you're going to have to sudo this. Sudo on a Mac, and then get elevated permissions to install something globally. Otherwise, you get that error. Is that working for you? Did it install correctly? No? Issues with that? To test it, just type in nodemon. You can say nodemon and then space app.js, I believe. And now you'll see that it is watching this file. To show that it's working, I can come down here and add a couple spaces and press save, which is Command S. And as soon as I saved, did you see that it said restarting due to changes, starting node app.js? Here I can say exclamation point, save it. Now notice it doesn't actually reload it doesn't re-request the route. You have to manually do that to send a new request there is a client and a server. Your computer is running both the client and the server application. Is that clear? But they're talking to each other over HTTP, so this would work. Guess from anywhere. So for example, if I were to look up my IP address, my actual IP address, let's see if this works. Oof, so many interfaces. I would guess it's EN1. No. This is not a good example. Okay, EN0, there we are. Okay, so my internet address, INET, is 1048.1.102. 1048.1.102. So JT, if you were to browse to 1048.1.102, let me get this running. :3000. Yeah. So it's 10.48.1.102 :3000. So that your face just came from my computer to JT's computer. And it is not secure. I, right, it was just HTTP. So I just wanted to emphasize, like, it looks sort of magical and like you're doing some hand waving when your computer is talking to itself, but it's using the same technologies that two computers across the internet use to talk to each other. You with me? So we have a real web server that's running, and you could insult people from across the world if they were to browse to this site and know to type in :3000. Okay? Um, okay. Let's crank this up a level. You ready? That's a good question. On the whole, yes, I would like us to make an API to support our front end. So let's note then, we could, instead of sending back your face, which this is just straight text, I could send something else back, like this angle bracket H1, your face, right? Which that looks almost like something else, doesn't it? And when I send back this different string, my browser interprets it as HTML and then renders it differently. Now, as you can imagine, if you remember HTML, this is not a whole web page. You got to have all that boilerplate to make a whole web page. You know, that bang, I don't even remember what it is. You know, all the stuff. That's what should be in a whole HTML document. So even this is not a real HTML page, but the browser is really forgiving, and the browser really wants to find HTML and show it. So we could return a whole web page like this. Yeah. Or we could send back just JSON. So, for example, instead, I could send back what? An object that has a message that is so maybe this thing has a message and it has a code. I don't know. Let me see if this is going to work. I don't know if that will look. Oh, I didn't close that. I think JSON has to have quotes around those. I'm not sure that I'm doing that right, because I think my browser would understand it and open up my extension if I was really getting JSON. On the whole, this isn't how you should send JSON. If you want to send JSON, you should say res.json and then just pass in an object. So in this case, I can just create a JavaScript object right here. And then .json will convert it. Okay. And then do you see, I got a very different looking message now. I have this this extension in Chrome called JSON Formatter. It's a free extension. And instead of it just being text, it structures it as JSON. Does that make sense? So I do like that. Notice, I guess I should show you, if I do this, what's going to happen? I just get this. Once you call send, then nothing else happens. Like that's the end of the line for this back and forth. So I think things that come after it don't happen. So from our back end, we can send back raw text, we can send back HTML, we can send back a whole file, or we could send back JSON. If we're creating an API where we're returning structured data, we're usually going to be sending back JSON. Let's create a new endpoint. So I'd like to have another get where I would like to take in /name, where I want to take in a person's name. The magic to do this, this is as a route parameter, is colon. So when I say colon name, really colon anything. This thing that comes after the name, excuse me, we can extract as a parameter, as a route parameter. Actually, can I change this? I'm going to change this to /insult and then colon name. I need my second parameter, which is, of course, a function. And this function should take in a request and a response. And then I would like the response, I'd like to send back the person's name. Does that make sense? I'm going to say the person's name. This isn't right yet. Hang on. Like, so if we went to localhost 3000 /insult /Robert, then it would return Robert's face. Which it does, but that's because I've hard-coded it. So even if I were to put in Ella's name, it still says Robert's face. I would like it to insult whatever name got put there. Yeah? So this is the simple way to extract that. I'm going to go ahead and extract it into a constant, and I'm going to call this name. This does not have to be the same name as this. Just to drive that home, I'm going to say sure. Person, thank you, JT. Naming things are hard. So person is equal to, and in this case we say it's on the request dot params dot name. So rec.params allows you to get all of the named route parameters. I'm sorry that's so hard to read. Nima, I think we have to lose. Winter is coming. It's just not readable. Light modern. Oh, but red. Oh. I like the blue one better than that. Quiet light. No. It's really important that we get this right. This is, oh, dark looks so good, y'all. Oh, you like the 2017? What a throwback. Okay. So we've extracted the person's name by getting rec.params.name. And now I can say, instead of Robert's face, hard-coded, I'm going to get the Robert out, delete it, and replace it with a curly, $ curly, string interpolation, and say person. So now it should take whatever string we put in as that comes after /insult will be the parameter. And it is like even case sensitive. You see that? So that's Ella's face. What? That's crazy. You should know. As soon as you do it, it replaces it with a %20 to URL encode what you've written. I don't understand. Okay, so this is how you extract route parameters. Parameters that are defined by where they are in the slashes. Yeah? Questions on that? Now we can do several of these if we want. So we could say, hey, we're going to insult someone's age as well. So this would be rec.params.age, and maybe we could say if age, well, let me show you this because this will break. If age is less than 20, then we could say one thing. And otherwise, we could say something else. I think this isn't going to work because of data types. Let's see what happens, shall we? So I've got Frank/90. Okay, so that says Frank's old face. Oh, sweet JavaScript. JavaScript is annoying but nice here. When I compared the string 20 or the string 9 to the number 20, it converted the string to an integer to actually do the conversion right. That's a little bit annoying to me. Like, I think you should be in charge of converting your data. Does this kind of make sense, the way we've put in two different parameters, extracted them, and then done something with them? Maybe here we could say colon repeat. And now I'm going to say actually, I don't want to do this yet. I was going to repeat this insult that many times based on the repeat parameter. Right. There is a, I don't want to say, if you are expecting an integer, you might want to do something like that and parse int or parse float to make sure that then now age is a number. To be safer before you start doing operations. Our previous thing would have broken down if we applied a plus to it, potentially, because we want to treat it as a number. Okay. Let me show you one more thing, and I'll put it separately, although all this can go together, but I'm going to have an app.get, and I would like to go to /mom, and for this one, we're gonna see how to use query string parameters. So again, we've got our arrow function and a rec and a res here. So I'm expecting on this one that my endpoint is going to be /mom, and then I'm going to do query string where you say question mark, name equals Fran, ampersand, age equals some number. Can y'all see that? So these are query string parameters. So we're going to extract these out. Here's how we get these. This is also pretty easy. I'm going to extract it by saying const name. Again, this constant, the name of this constant could be anything. A lot of times you'll just reuse what the keyword is here. So in this case, the name here is rec, because this is on the request, and you say dot query. You notice VS Code has these starred members. So those are the most commonly used. So that's pretty helpful. They're not in alphabetical order. They're the ones the most commonly used. So params, body, and query are the three most popular. And then I think we just say the name. In this case, you can't get autocomplete because it has no idea what the user might type. But I know that it's going to be called name. And similarly, then I could say const age is equal to rec.query.age. So this last thing here has to match whatever was typed on the URL. And then just to see if that worked, I'm going to say response.send and backtick, and your mom's name is $ curly is name, and she is $age years old, and that's old. So let's see if we correctly did that. So coming over here, I need to go to /mom, and let's just see how it's going to break it first. If I go to /mom, you'll see that I get undefined and undefined because there were no query parameters like that. If I were to say question mark is the separator, and then name equals Betsy, now your mom's name is Betsy, and she is undefined years old, which actually is a pretty good insult, at least if you're into JavaScript, I think. Ampersand is how we combine multiple query string name values. So I'm going to say age is equal to 90, and now you see that does extract that. So what I want you to see in this is, like, I know these are like fairly simple things, but this is kind of gives us the basic power to run a web server that really is speaking this kind of complex HTTP protocol. We can send data in, even as parameterized data. We can request certain routes, like /insult, /mom, or just /. We can pass in parameters through route parameters or through query parameters, and then do some processing with that. We're imagining, like we saw an if statement, but we could just as well have extracted your mom's age and determined what year she was born and send back what her birth year was. That's just a super simple thing. But to me, like, this is all you need, right? This is almost all you need to start making like real web servers that do something, because you have input, you're able to process it on the server, send output back. Questions, thoughts on this? Because I did not make the app.listen to the variable. So when it changes anything here, then what NodeMon does is kill the current running server and then start the new one for us. Good question. Don't make this number more than 16,000. It has to be a 16-bit number, just like 16K. And don't go lower than 2K. Maybe less than, because those are the reserved port numbers, and your operating system will say, no, you can't have that. That's reserved. So that's why you'll always see people in like the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,000s. Yeah. Okay. Questions? Possible. I think there's a lot of other stuff that needs to be going on there, but possibly. Caleb? Like, you just want to return a YouTube video? Like, you want to rickroll somebody? That's basically what you're saying. Yeah, you could just send back the rickroll. And if you had the video file, you could send back the file itself. No, you could redirect. You want to? Let me just ask. Let's see. How can I redirect? I'm thinking there's like in this, yeah, res.redirect. I don't know that you could send to a completely different site though. Well, yeah, you can. Well, since that's the main thing you want to do, let's try it. So, so I'm going to app.get and then slash complement, right? Is that right? Complement. The E is the math thing. And I'm just going to send them to Google. So it should be now that if I go to complement, oh, you see what I did? I didn't take in res, oh, rec and res. So yes, you can just straight res.redirect to any URL, whether it's on your site or somebody else's. Are y'all familiar with Let Me Google That For You? Yes? No? No? It's for when someone asks you a really obvious question that they haven't even Googled yet. Like, how do I, how do you want to do it? So, like, how do I code hello world in Python? Okay. This was huge several years ago. I get that y'all aren't into it. Okay. So, will somebody click on this link? Do you want to? So when someone sends you the question, you make one of these and send it back. And it just shows them doing a Google search. It was funny. I thought it was funny today. Okay. We've just made our first Node app. You guys are now Express developers. So now we can begin to make servers that store and manage information. I think I have a little micro assignment related to Express so that we can kind of get our feet under us and just do a little bit of manipulation. What's going to happen more commonly in the real world is on your server, you have other resources that are yours that are valuable, like a database with lots of other information, like files that have all of the cool Instagram photos that other people have posted. So then you're able to generate new and interesting customized content for your user, like customized to them from the database in this controlled access of your server. So your server can access your database, but the user's client cannot, because that wouldn't be secure for them to get into your database. So we're going to kind of control access to our system through this. I'm also going to post an optional lab. If you feel like you don't know React as well as you would like to, I'm going to post a lab from Codecademy on JavaScript, on React, like the JavaScript ones. And I will make it a lab. I know I have to grade some other stuff, some other things, but if you do it, then it will raise your grade. So it would be like a free extra 100. If you don't want to do it because you feel like you're comfortable with your knowledge of React, then that's cool. There's no judgment. I just feel like I didn't give you enough opportunity to work through all of the small pieces before we are having to switch to Node and our big project. So if that is of interest to you, I get that it's extra work, but I think that they are going to walk you through in their like very micro step way. And if you feel like, ooh, that is the kind of growth that I need in React, I highly encourage you to do that. React is the most popular front-end framework, and I think you want to have it on your resume if you want to be competitive for development jobs, because it is the one that, the front-end framework, that is most popular. So that's going to appear as this like optional lab. I don't know, I'll probably grade it in a couple weeks, so I don't want it to linger to the end of the semester. My point is that you do it before we jump into the dev project, where I'm expecting you to be productive in React. I realized after I announced the teams last time that I had messed up, and I forgot that we changed our minds. And instead of 4 teams of 4, we're going to have 2 teams of 8. It's very odd for me, but your face, Ella, are you okay? What? The so I can still then the team of 4 that at least one team of 4 talk to me. Y'all can still be a team, and you'll have 4 more people. That'll be 2 IDD people per team. But now I want to have 2 largish teams, and I'm going to need y'all to be even more self-sufficient. I'm trying to like step out so that I don't have to do any hand holding or management, so that I'm not slowing you down by you needing too much from me that I'm not able to give you. So I really want the teams to be able to really self-support and even lead. So let me work between now and Friday to define who those 2 teams of 8 are. So if you do have strong preferences about that, email me before noon on Friday. Based on the information I got this time, I think not that many people care. And then we will start working on the this Dejankify My Site app on Friday and meet with our teams. Will y'all be here on Friday? It feels like Friday is something. Is Friday something? Just Friday. It's not like homecoming or pre-homecoming or anything weird like that. I believe it when I see it. All right. See you guys.